The King Who Never Came Home, Ayrton Senna. May 1st, 1994, Imola, Italy. The San Marino Grand Prix is underway, a race the entire world is watching live. At the front of the pack is Ayrton Senna, three-time Formula One world champion and for many the greatest racing driver who has ever lived. He is 34 years old, focused completely, driving with the same precision and almost supernatural instinct that defined his entire career. He is doing what he was born to do, but this weekend has been overshadowed by something dark. The day before, during qualifying, a young Austrian driver named Roland Ratzenberger crashed at over 300 km/h and was killed instantly. Senna was deeply affected. He went to the crash site, he went to the hospital, and he spoke openly, for the first time in his career, about fear. He said something didn't feel right about racing that weekend. Some say he even considered withdrawing. But Formula One at the time did not stop. The race continued, and Senna, as always, stepped back into the car. The race begins under difficult circumstances. A crash on the first lap brings out the safety car, forcing the drivers to slow down. This cools the tires and reduces grip, making the restart far more dangerous than usual. When the safety car pulls in, the race resumes, and Senna immediately begins to pull away, opening a gap with the same effortless speed that made his rivals feel like they were driving a different kind of machine. Lap 7. Senna approaches Tamburello, one of the fastest corners in the sport, taken nearly flat out. Then, with no warning, his car fails to turn. It shoots straight off the track, still traveling at incredible speed, and strikes a concrete wall. The impact is violent. The car breaks apart on contact. Millions of people watching on live television see the car come to a stop with Senna motionless in the cockpit. Rescue teams reach him in seconds. They work on him at the side of the track before airlifting him to Maggiore Hospital in Bologna. But the injury is beyond saving. At 6:40 p.m., Ayrton Senna is pronounced dead. His death shocks the world. Brazil declares 3 days of national mourning. More than 3 million people line the streets of Sao Paulo to say goodbye. His funeral becomes one of the largest public gatherings in modern history. And Formula One is forced to change. Safety becomes the priority. Tracks are redesigned. Cars evolve. A new era begins, one shaped directly by the loss of Ayrton Senna. Today, Senna is remembered not only as a champion, but as a symbol of passion, courage, and humanity. A legend who never came home, but whose legacy changed the sport forever. The last lap, Dale Earnhardt. February 18, 2001, Daytona International Speedway, Florida. The Daytona 500 is in its final lap. At the front of the race are Michael Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt Jr., and right behind them, in third place, is Dale Earnhardt himself. For Earnhardt, this is exactly the result he wants. He is blocking the rest of the field, using his experience and aggressive racecraft to protect his teammates, ensuring a 1-2 finish for his team in NASCAR's biggest event of the year. Dale Earnhardt is 49 years old and one of the most iconic drivers in the history of American motorsport. They call him the Intimidator for a reason. He races hard, he races close, and he never backs down. 7 championships, countless wins, and a style that made him both feared and admired. This is the kind of moment that defined his career, using every instinct, every lesson learned over decades to shape the outcome of the race. As the field heads into the final turns, Dale Earnhardt is doing exactly what he intends to do, holding off a pack of cars charging from behind. It is fast, aggressive racing, but nothing unusual for NASCAR. Then, coming off turn 4, just seconds from the finish line, another car makes light contact with the rear of Dale Earnhardt's black number 3 Chevrolet. Contact like this happens hundreds of times in a season. Normally, it's nothing. But at nearly 180 miles per hour, at just the wrong angle, with just the wrong timing, Earnhardt's car snaps upward across the track and hits the outside wall almost head-on. To the crowd of over 200,000 watching in person, the crash looks relatively ordinary. Earnhardt has survived accidents far worse. His reputation for toughness is legendary. People expect him to climb out of the wreck, shake it off, and move on. But this time, there is no movement, no signal, no helmet being removed. Safety crews arrive and immediately realize the situation is critical. Earnhardt is rushed to Halifax Medical Center. Doctors work urgently, but the impact is called the basilar skull fracture, a catastrophic injury. There is no recovery from it. Dale Earnhardt is pronounced dead shortly after the crash. He was killed instantly, on the final lap, while trying to secure victory for his son and his team. The news sends shockwaves across the racing world. Earnhardt was not just a champion, he was the identity of the sport. His death forces NASCAR to confront the reality that safety had not kept pace with speed. The sport changes immediately. The hands device becomes mandatory. Safer barriers are installed. Car design is overhauled. And in the years since, no NASCAR driver has died in a race. The changes work, but they came at the cost of a legend. Dale Earnhardt's black number 3 remains one of the most iconic symbols in American sports, a reminder of the day the sport changed forever, and of a driver who gave everything right up to the final lap. The crash in the rain, Jules Bianchi. October 5, 2014, Suzuka Circuit, Japan. A typhoon is passing nearby, and the rain is relentless. Formula One has decided to race anyway. The track is soaked, visibility is poor, and the cars are aquaplaning at nearly 200 miles per hour. But the schedule must be kept. The show must go on. Jules Bianchi is 25 years old, a rising star, driving for Marussia, one of the smallest teams on the grid, in a car that should not have been able to fight for points. But earlier that season in Monaco, he did exactly that. He made the impossible look routine. Ferrari had already placed him in their academy. People inside the sport whispered the same thing. Future Ferrari race winner, future world champion. But today, the rain makes everything uncertain. On lap 41, another driver loses control and crashes. A recovery tractor enters the side of the track to remove the damaged car. Yellow flags are waved. The race continues. No safety car, no red flag. The track is still wet. The light is fading. Drivers are fighting just to keep the car on the track. Then, on lap 43, approaching the same corner, Bianchi loses grip. His car snaps. He tries to correct, but at that speed, on standing water, there is no correction. His car slides off the track, directly towards the recovery tractor. No F1 car is designed to collide with a machine that weighs several tons. The impact is silent. There is no explosion, no fire, just a terrible, heavy collision that stops the car instantly. The trackside cameras look away. The broadcast cuts to something else. But the drivers know. The teams know. And the silence in the garage tells the story before the official words do. Medical crews reach him immediately. Jules is unconscious. He is not breathing properly. He has suffered a diffuse axonal injury, one of the most severe brain injuries possible. He is flown to a hospital in Yoikichi. Surgeons operate for hours. He remains in a coma. His family flies to Japan. His parents sit beside him every single day. The season continues. Races are run. Championships are decided. 9 months later, on July 17, 2015, Jules Bianchi passes away. He becomes the first driver to die from a Formula One race accident since Ayrton Senna. His death forces the sport to confront the reality that the track should have been stopped. The tractor should not have been there. The conditions were too dangerous. Formula One responds. The virtual safety car is created, a system that forces all cars to slow to a controlled pace during incidents. Halo cockpit protection is developed and later made mandatory. Safer track procedures become non-negotiable, and those changes save lives. The world lost a future champion. Formula One gained the safety that keeps champions alive. Jules Bianchi, 1990 to 2015, the driver who changed the sport by never coming home.